Hello guys, my name is NaToSaphiX. Today we have another video, and it is in fact for play.gg. Go check out their website, it's super cool, guys working there, and a super nice website on top of that as well. Today we'll be doing my first impressions on Anubis. Now, disclaimer, I don't have so many matches played on this map yet. I have like 5, so whatever I say, it might be... it's probably correct right now, but in a month or in 2 months, everything could change. I'm gonna just go from a sort of pro player perspective and tell you what you need to look out for, a few neat tips and tricks here and there. And I'm gonna just get right into it. We're gonna be starting on the T side, and the idea behind that is that playing on a new map, playing CT is almost always much easier because people don't know all the angles, and so just holding an angle is much better than being the one who has to aggress. I'm going to be showing you mainly things on the T side to kind of help you take map control. For mid, super simple. If you come from T spawn and go over to the B side of things, all you have to do is just bounce a flash like this, take Molo in hand, and if you Molo deep like this, you eliminate sort of the peak from the right side. This allows you to focus on just this angle, and if you walk up with your team while this Molotov is up, you can peek it when the Molo is faded, and then you've already gotten the first part of the map control. If you are a sort of higher level player, what you probably want to be doing is combining this with a mid smoke in here. There's a ton of tutorials out right now where you can show, like you can see all the spawn smoke, so I'm not gonna go into that too much. But you can throw this smoke from spawn. With this, you could bounce a flash off the wall, use a Molotov, and with this set, you have the first part of mid control for the T's. Next part is going to be a little bit more tricky, as there's going to be 2 doorways. This doorway down here, I found a smoke from spawn for myself. It's a little bit crazy, but I'll show it anyway. If you from spawn go out into this corner, and you aim on this corner of the building, and you run until you start walking down this ramp, you hold W and A, and you jump throw. This smoke should, in fact, go over and block perfectly on the left side. And even though it looks crazy, it's actually really consistent. If you want to be doing a fast A-split with your team, then this is definitely a smoke that I would use. You could use these nades that I just showed to take the first part of mid control, and then using this one to split with. I'm not going to show you all my tricks that I have. I'm going to just give you a general sort of idea of how to play the map. For the A side of things, I think it's worth having a lurk who is like just kind of controlling this area. He can play up here and watch if they push A. He can play down here. There's many good angles for him to hold for the push, but I think this A-lurk in pro play will also end up being the guy controlling if the CTs are pushing through the canals area. So having a position that can deal with both like this, or maybe a position even all the way back up here where you're like watching this and then on timing checking if they push through here, seems to me to be the best idea for right now. If you want to have this area, obviously you won't just leave one guy. But for the most part, I think T's will be working on taking mid control, having maybe 3 guys working mid together, and then having 1 B lurk. The B lurk, a good position for this, I would say, is something like this, where you're just holding left side, and if they want to go up on this side, they have to jump up, and while they're jumping, you can shoot them. If they're not jumping up ever, you can go and just on timing check right side, see if they pushed. Otherwise, another good lurk position is something like this, where you're holding, and if they push, you have a pretty good duel. And you can also hear a very faint sound when someone jumps close to you, so if you hear them jumping up on this box, you should be able to know it. You could even let this guy pass and just try to see if you could walk into B, or you can decide to kill him and then run into B quickly. Whatever floats your boat. For one of the smokes that you for sure will be using, there is this canal smoke. If you go into this corner and do like left side of the window up to the height of this and normal jump throw, this smoke goes over, hits the wall and lands inside the canal opening. The reason this is important, and this is actually a really important part of this map, is that the timing is so that when the T's get to here, the CT can be over here. And a lot of AWP players do it that as CT, they rush down into this like E-leg or this connector area and take this angle, as it allows them to have a lot of info, and they can basically know if anyone is pushing from canals towards B. There is, though, a way to go A without the CT knowing if he's holding this angle and that is just going up here, but it is a little bit slower, so yeah, do as you wish, I guess. I see a lot of tutorials showing this smoke where you go into the left corner and then you aim from the top of this to the left side middle of this window. This smoke and the idea behind this smoke is great, but I will show you actually a way that a CT AWPer abused it against me at about 4000 elo matchmaking, or not matchmaking, face it. With this smoke, you can actually come through it if it's too deep, and you can play behind this small wall. You're quite hard to see, and you can basically just take a different angle. This allows you to peek both left and right side of the smoke, and is actually pretty dangerous in my opinion. Instead, if you throw a smoke that kind of looks more like it's going to fail, it will be better for you, and I recommend using this smoke over what I see most tutorials doing. So, getting stuck in the same corner, if you instead aim from the top of this and up from this, it looks like it's going to be a little worse because it takes a bounce very early, but this one comes out far enough that instead of the CT being able to play behind the small wall, he now has to swing extremely far out to peek. And if he's here, if he misses his shot or even if he hits it, he's much easier to trade when he falls back into the smoke as he has to swing so far out. Plus there is not this angle in front of the smoke for him to play with. So even though the smoke kind of seems worse, it's actually better. And I would recommend using the second one that I showed here. For the T's, Canals is a super strong area of the game. Notice that when I drop down into the water, I'm making sound. So pushing on the left seems like the better choice, but at the same time pushing on the left you're easy to get peeked by the CTs. That's why if you go into the water early where the CTs maybe don't hear it and walk for a long time on the right side, it might be advantageous. Getting the control in the E-leg or connector area here is super vital for the T's as it allows for fast B-splits, and that's also why a lot of CTs will be fighting for this area. The way CTs right now are playing it is that one guy is taking care of B main, and the other guy is taking care of this area down here. So this is heavily contested, and a lot of AWP players will come and peek you here. Now, talking a little bit about how to go into the bomb sites, I have a few nades here for A that I want to show. If you go into this corner and you aim here at the top of the box, jump throw forward, this smoke smokes heaven perfectly. If you combine this with, from the same corner, a Molotov here, jump throw forward. Oh, that was my graffiti binder instead. You are eliminating 2 out of the 3 angles. Now, I don't currently have a lineup for this area, but honestly, it shouldn't be too hard. I'm fairly certain you can do, I don't know, something like this and do a double-click jump throw or something like that. This might even work, actually. It pretty much does. You can definitely find a better lineup, but you get the idea. With these nades, you can go in and take the A bomb site, and you know there's only going to be a couple of positions to play. For the CTs, they will probably mainly be playing like pillar hiding, or I could see something like this being an angle riflers will play, as you dodge any flashes coming through the window and you're like all in. To deal with this angle and to deal with the angle over here and also to deal with pillar, I've come up with one flash that I think is actually really smart, and I advise you guys to use in every single match you play on Anubis. When you go A, and I think this will be very meta, if you bounce a flash hard on this wall, what will happen is that it goes in and lands behind the pillar, so you can run out with it. But not only that, should there be a CT hiding here, the flash will bounce on him and it will sound different. Because of the difference in sound, you will know if there is someone pillar or if there isn't, and just using this simple flashbang will actually give you a whole lot of info. Now, if you take the angles that I showed before, this angle should be blinded by the flash. I'm actually not sure. This angle is fully blinded by the flash. And anyone rotating in will also be blinded by this flash if you make it land maybe not as hard against the wall. Maybe a slow walk. I tested this earlier, at least it should work. And okay, it should work. Maybe you need to bounce it really hard so that it hits the pillar early, and yeah. You can play around with this, is all I'm gonna say to that. It should work. I tested it earlier and it did work, so I think I'm just messing it up. Like this. If you get a flash to land like that, anyone rotating in will be blinded, and I don't see any sort of disadvantage to this flash. It clears a spot, and anyone watching your entrance will be blind, plus it lands behind the pillar so that your team will not be flashed. And honestly, I could see it being a situation where every T coming in throws one flash here, so there's just constant flashes popping, and then you swing in. This is one of my best tips on Anubis, and I'm a little bit... I don't know. I think sharing it is the right choice because you are a select few, but I'm just saying, I think this will become very meta if it isn't already in pro play, and I advise you to use it in every single Anubis game that you play. Over in mid, there's not so much to say. I mean, you can do a Molotov like this to Molotov off this angle before you peek it. Then you could maybe go over here and throw just any random smoke like that and Molo behind it. Then you have a pretty decent chance at going A-split if you want to do it on the fly. For B, I have a few more thoughts, and I haven't kind of completely finished them, but what I think the map will look like is that at the start people will be doing deep B executes like this, where you have a smoke in the middle of this and a smoke connector. Coming into B, I think people will be doing maybe a Molotov up here to kind of make it so that these guys cannot come out through the smoke, and then be throwing a... I don't know, they'll probably be peeking, but finding some kind of way of Molotoving this back corner. This will give you so much control, and if you split through Elec, this will give you, you know, a lot, as you can clear these two angles, like this area and this. And with these smokes up, it should be easy for you to get a bomb plant. But as seen on a whole lot of other maps, is that the deep executes typically work most at the beginning when people are not so used to playing the bomb sites. And I had another idea for an execute I want to share it with you guys. I don't know if it's going to actually work, but finding a smoke that lands either down here, like either up on this this step, or down here, I think is actually going to be pretty interesting. I will show you why. Sorry for the decoys, by the way. If you smoke like this, no one can see under it. You might be able to see a few legs under it, which is kind of neat. If you come out here, you can Molotov like this, which should Molotov off connector. So you get the same sort of idea, and if you land it a little bit shorter, you can maybe bounce it a little bit earlier like this. It will actually land like this. Let me show you. Which should burn so that they cannot come out from connector, but they also cannot go into this space. If you combine this smoke with a smoke from Elec, just slow walk at the top of this. Man, I'm failing all my nades. If you slow walk on top of this, it should land here and block off this. So imagine you go through canals and you take Elec control. You come here, you throw this smoke after clearing this area and this area. You smoke off this without killing chickens, hopefully, so that your B main player can come out. The B main player will be smoking the smoke right here. And with this, I think if you land it correctly, you can get the Molotov to bounce off this thing and land in the corner. That way you have Molo here, you have Molotov here, and you have a smoke here and a smoke here. With this, you can plant the bomb here safely, which is planted for both Elec and for B main, and easy does it. I think this will be a B execute that we might see teams employing, as any kind of smoke spam should be negated by these smokes. You can plant safely here while the Molotovs are up, and it's very easy to defend. Afterwards, you can play a passive after plant. And this was my video about my first impressions on Anubis. I hope you did enjoy it. No, it's not super deep, but I hope I gave you an idea of how to play the map and a few executes that you could try out if you want to go a little bit deeper on the map. So thank you so much for watching the video, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.